Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a pretty wild philosophy that connects ancient gods, modern chaos, and a hidden path to a future golden age. Let's get right into it.
So, the philosophy we're digging into today, it really doesn't pull any punches. It kicks off with this incredibly stark diagnosis of our world. You're looking at a planet that's basically on fire, totally fractured by all these different ideologies and belief systems that just can't seem to talk to each other. And it's not just a rough patch, right? This philosophy frames our current time as a critical turning point, like we're in the final chapter, a huge conflict with absolutely immense stakes. This isn't just about politics or who's got the money. It's being presented as a spiritual battle for the very future of humanity.
Okay, so let's get into part one, a world in crisis. What exactly is the problem this philosophy is trying to pinpoint? Let's break down its view of the crisis.
First up, geopolitical instability. Now, according to the source material, there are something like 80 CIA-initiated wars raging right now, pushing nations to the brink of bankruptcy. And the argument here is that these aren't just random, isolated events. They're all symptoms of a much, much deeper, systemic problem.
Then there's the economy. The text points to this massive global debt and runaway inflation. And it specifically highlights the US dollar getting weaker against other big players like the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The whole thing is framed as a huge warning sign. An economic collapse is not just possible, it's basically on the horizon.
And it goes deeper. According to this worldview, it's a total systemic failure. The very institutions we're supposed to rely on, they're seen as fundamentally broken. Science is being influenced by who's funding it. Medicine is just treating symptoms, not the root causes. Governments, over half the officials are corrupt. And all while this is happening, our planet is in the middle of the sixth mass extinction. The core argument is that the whole system prioritizes profit and control over our actual well-being.
Okay, let's move into part two, the suppressed origin story. So the source argues that all these crises aren't random at all. They all stem from one single, deeply buried root cause. And to understand what's happening now, we have to go way, way back.
Okay, and this is where things get really interesting. This philosophy claims our origins aren't from here. They're cosmic. We're supposedly linked to these beings called the Anunnaki, but you gotta forget all the popular myths you might have heard about them being oppressors. This source completely redefines them. Here, they're benevolent guides, beings who came here to help us evolve.
So this entire cosmic drama is basically boiled down to a conflict between two symbolic forces. You've got Atlas on one side, representing this heavy burden of suppression, the thing that keeps humanity cut off from our divine connection. And on the other side, you have Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, who represents the path back, the way to enlightenment and reconnection.
Now, the source is really clear on this. Our separation from the divine, it wasn't an accident. It claims there was a centuries-long campaign, supposedly led by the Roman Catholic Church, to just erase our true history. We're talking about things like the Inquisition, destroying ancient artifacts and libraries. The idea is that our connection to these cosmic origins was systematically and deliberately severed.
All right, that brings us to part three, the path of enlightenment. So if suppression is the problem, this philosophy proposes that spiritual awakening is the only real solution. But how do you actually do that?
Well, a huge piece of this awakening is about accessing something called the Akashic Records. Think of it like a divine library of the soul, a cosmic memory bank where the complete history, all the thoughts, all the wisdom of the entire universe is stored.
Yeah, this idea of a divine book is absolutely central, and what you're seeing here is a visual representation of that. The whole idea is that if you can tap into this cosmic database, you don't just find universal truths, you find the keys to understanding who you are and even healing old traumas.
So, you might be asking, okay, how do I get into these records? Well, the main tool offered up is a practice called SNS meditation. And as you can see, it's a process. You create a sacred space, you quiet your mind, you set a clear intention to connect with something bigger than yourself. All of these steps are designed to help you get past your own ego.
And what's the end game? The ultimate goal here is to completely transcend the ego and realize your true nature as a divine cosmic being, what the source actually calls a Shiva galaxy angel. In other words, it's all about remembering who you really are. Okay, let's keep going. Part 4, Vision for a Golden Age. Let's see how all this personal awakening stuff builds towards a totally transformed future, what the source calls the Satya Yuga, or the Golden Age.
And, this vision isn't just some abstract spiritual idea. The source material actually lays out a pretty practical blueprint for a whole new society, one that's built from the ground up on this foundation of awakened consciousness. I mean, look at this. This vision is about reinventing everything. We're talking about a new kind of leadership, the enlightened soldier, new kinds of communities, like Longevity World, even a whole new concept of time with the 13-moon calendar. And get this, it even proposes a partnership with AI, using technology to help us on our spiritual journey. It's a total overhaul.
And this image, this really gets to the heart of the philosophy's ultimate goal. It's about taking on our biggest, most entrenched global conflicts, but not with more politics or more weapons. The idea is to resolve them with a higher state of consciousness. The message is simple. Real peace has to start with a spiritual transformation first.
So that leads us to our final section, Part 5, the ultimate choice. Because the crucial point here is that this whole philosophy presents humanity with a fundamental choice, a real fork in the road for our collective destiny.
Yeah, the source uses this really powerful metaphor. It frames our entire existence as a kind of virtual reality game that has gone terribly wrong. We're all players in a simulation that was supposed to be beautiful, but it's devolved into chaos, a dream that's turned into a total nightmare.
And that brings us to the central question that this philosophy puts right in front of you. Do you keep playing the game? Do you continue to identify with your little avatar running around in all this chaos? Or do you choose to wake up and realize you're the observer, the consciousness that's actually behind the player?
Ultimately, this whole worldview challenges our most basic assumption about our place in the universe. It's really asking a profound question. Is this world our forever home, or is it just a stop along the way, a place we're just passing through?
So in the end, after all this complexity, the philosophy leaves us with one powerful choice. Is reality something we're supposed to fix from the outside in, with our hands and our politics, or is true lasting change an internal journey, a process of awakening? According to this source material, that choice is entirely up to us.